More than any other creature, dragons are the very essence of Dungeons and Dragons. From the savage white to the majestic gold, dragons embody the greatest perils and the most coveted reward. Whether facing a tiny wormling in their first dungeon or a colossal great worm, adventurers know that a dragon encounter is the ultimate test, a brutal, unforgettable battle that promises untold riches. But amongst these fearsome creatures, none inspire more dread than the red dragon. Classical fiery breath and insatiable greed, red dragons are the epitome of destruction and power. And among all of these red dragons, one name stands above all in infamy and terror: Ashardalon. This ancient and mighty red dragon's tale is one of relentless pursuit of power. This is the lore and legend of Ashardalon, his rise to dominance, his unholy alliances, and the fearsome legacy he has etched into D&D. Also, he has a board game. A traditional song called The Coming of Ashardalon describes the depredations of this ancient red of immense power and self-importance. Ashardalon is well known for his tenacious clasp on life, no matter his injuries and setbacks. Ashardalon was an entity of pure power, possessed of a maturity that few dragons ever achieve. For us, his story begins when he is already at a considerable level of power, far greater than most dragons achieve. He had a massive cult worshipping him, the cult of Ashardalon, who made their home in a place called Night Fang Spire, a stone tower far from civilized parts. The main leader of this cult was named Gulthias, a vampire lord of dread. He served as Ashardalon's intermediary with the cult. Gulthias was obsessed with his worship of this dragon, and served him extremely faithfully in his life. The only early tale of Ashardalon is one in which he and his red dragon mate hunted along the Golden Plain. The Golden Plain was ruled by a human king who dwelt in a many-towered fortress. As Ashardalon grew more reckless with his power, he came into direct conflict with the kingdom and its king. Thinking to show the dragon a monarch's true might, the king sent a secret force of his knights to slay Ashardalon's mate. They were successful. Ashardalon went on a rampage so fierce and so extended that the land itself finally buckled, pulling the king's fortress beneath the ground. The once lush region was renamed the Ashen Plain, and the fortress was rechristened the Sunless Citadel. From the sunken castle, Ashardalon's first followers came to revere him. Not much is known about what happened with Ashardalon and his cult at this time, as they accumulated more and more power. They were never really opposed, and Ashardalon, as a red dragon of unmatched power, a great worm, he could really do no wrong. That is, until he crossed a branch of a church led by a druid named Did, the Church of the Elements. Ashardalon slew this entire cult of druids, and though all of Did's fellow cult members had died, he managed to strike an extremely vicious blow upon Ashardalon, wounding the red great dragon's heart. Ashardalon's old heart was damaged beyond repair. It's unclear what happened to Ashardalon's body after this, but the great worm's heart was harvested and placed in the well-protected core of Night Fang Spire, the ultimate relic of Ashardalon's cult. Gulthias, the chief cultist, noted some residual potency remained in the heart. The cult determined to follow Ashardalon's lead into death, and so ritualistically, over the course of several years, converted the temple into a mass tomb. Finally, mass suicide ensued, all perfectly timed to a heartbeat. Then, a truly strange thing happened. It's possible some enigmatic other planar agency is ultimately responsible, but whatever the case, the mass suicide enlivened the heart, supercharging it with negative energy. Gulthias, as the chief cultist, was raised to unlife by his proximity to the heart. In fact, he gained some sort of link to the now magical heart, from which he was now able to draw untold negative power. He began to use this power to raise the other cultists back into unlife. His goal was the renewal of Ashardalon's cult, now undead. Unfortunately, Gulthias got himself staked to the earth in a distant place before he could get his plan off the ground, and it seemed like this was the end of the undead cult. But after some untold time, Gulthias returned. As it is said, someone must have removed that wooden spike that had transfixed him for so long. And with a magic born of equal parts skill, faith, and desperation, Gulthias rekindled the heart. but not to life. Forsaking life himself, he invested a portion of his newfound undead power into the organ. With this catalyst, the heart was preserved. The vampire believes that if he can extend his reach far enough, grow the cult large enough, and make a large enough impact in the world, the spirit of Ashardalon will return from whatever strange plane it has fled to. He thinks it's all a test of faith. With this catalyst, the heart was preserved, and it now serves as a center of faith and necromantic power for the cult, reborn in undead darkness. So in the end, it seems Golthias, misguided as he was, with good intentions towards Ashardalon, had failed. The heart was preserved and he had created something completely different, almost completely disconnected from Ashardalon. But Ashardalon was far from done, for he was elsewhere. When his heart was removed from his body and his being sent to another plane, he called upon all of his craft and knowledge of ancient rituals, and in his last moments of desperation, managed to replace his heart with a magically bound demon, no less than a Balor, named Amit. But so terrible was Ashardalon's wound that even Amit's enchanted labor began to fail him. And Ashardalon, from this moment, while his cultists were trying to revive him on the material plane, began to search for a source of life energy so pure nothing could ever again threaten to kill him. Which brings us to the Bastion of Broken Souls. Ashardalon, bending all of its powers, its hoard, and several centuries of research towards the goal of preserving its life without recourse to lichdom, determined that it required a new type of diet. Pre-incarnate souls from the Bastion of Unborn Souls. By feeding on such souls, it hoped to extend its life indefinitely, but each pre-incarnate soul it digested is one more empty mortal shell vomited forth onto the material plane. It seems that Ashardalon's hunger is great and accelerating, and one of the greatest demon lords of all time is introduced into the story, the demon prince Demogorgon. It is well known that Demogorgon has 2 heads and 2 minds. Amul, one of Demogorgon's personas, seeks to part with his sibling persona, Hethrodaya. Amul and Hethrodaya are unable to control one another, since each is in truth an aspect of the other, nor could one simply slay the other without also perishing. However, Amul knows of a demonic soul supercharged with life energy, which, if he absorbs it quickly enough, after he slays his sibling head, would allow Amul to survive as a single entity. Amul has learned of the great worm Ashardalon's breaching of his site, the Bastion of Unborn Souls, a font of pre-incarnate souls, those who have not yet lived. But Ashardalon's presence and his hunger has tainted the Bastion and resulted in a sickness affecting newborn creatures everywhere. Ashardalon, his once faltering demonic heart, is only growing stronger by the day. He's also dependent on this Bastion, and to gain this soul within a soul, Amul must slay Ashardalon. The druid who had struck the mortal blow to Ashardalon, Did, is long since dead. But since Did's legendary blow against the dragon, a mystical connection stretches between the dragon and Did, and those descended of Did. Ashardalon is weakened in its direct presence. This being a D&D adventure, the party, with a descendant of Did amongst them, will encounter Ashardalon in quite the state, and he is willing to say a great many things to persuade them to let him be. He believes many things. He knows his heart is bad in every sense you can imagine. As a transplant, it has failed him. He says his original heart was mortally, mystically wounded by she he will not name, Did. The heart is that of Amit, the Eater of Souls, and that he cannot leave the Bastion, or else he would die. He also believes the demons want him. For reasons obscure to him, they want Amit back. He wishes he had chosen a lesser son of the Abyss, and there is no going back, as Amit is part of him. He also does not care that the soul stuff that he consumes is creating a void of life in the multiverse. He believes he has become the ultimate predator. The lives he consumes are pure and untainted by incarnation, and he even invites the party to come and go as they desire, taking what they want of souls, as long as they leave him. He offers them their lives, and even his friendship. The battle with Ashardalon is great, and the canon ending of this adventure is that he most likely was defeated. Due to them having a descendant of Did, the strange mystical and magical connection between Did and her descendants and Ashardalon will always be his downfall. Though, it is said that when the killing blow is struck, Ashardalon's body shudders. The dragon's breast distends and then rips wide open. Blood jets forth, creating a short-lived geyser, and from this fleshy portal steps a grotesque creature, a demon-shaped heart. The creature's entire form beats with slow, steady evil. It stands 12 feet tall, has bloody red skin, and massive clawed hands. Wings unfurl, and the creature bursts into flames. Amit is freed. Ashardalon was really a being of self-preservation. He took more and more and more until he pushed too far. And from that moment until his last day was a slow, panicked death, one of desperation and death throes. Remembered only by his undead cult that still walks in his name, the tales told in taverns of yawning portals and Waterdeep. Ashardalon is gone, his fearsome presence extinguished, leaving behind only the tales of his great fury and even greater fall. Thank you everyone so much for watching this video. If you have any other ideas for characters, stories, or anything else you want to see a video on, please leave your ideas down in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you like the content, and check out my other videos. Thanks for watching.